That one.
Oh, that one?
Yours is straight. Ours is
Hey
straight.
guys, this is Chris Caballero. We're here in the Mamba Lounge. This is going to be our first podcast of many that we're going to be doing here. Today we got Francisco, George, and Alex Rocha. Let me go ahead and have everyone introduce themselves and talk about a little bit about themselves.
My name is Alex Rocha. I'm here with Century 21 Primetime, and kind of want to say why I got into real estate. I think that's why we're all here to tell you a little bit about ourselves. I used to be in after-school education, and a lot of my students were homeless, living in hotels, out of cars. And I said if I was going to leave education, it was going to be to better educate families and kids and get them into homes, and that's why I'm here.
Nice.
Damn. I like that.
George, do you go by Danny or do you go by George? What do you prefer?
I go by George, but I guess in the office everyone just calls me Danny, so
And on
that's
the
what
street?
kind of just. hey, relax. They still call me George. That's all I'm saying. No, but they call me George, and I want to get into, I guess, my background a little bit. So I've worked so many jobs. It's not even funny. Probably worked maybe like 15, 16 jobs or so. And all in all, it's improvement. I ended up leaving one job because I ended up being the best. And I know it's, a little egotistical,
That's
but
okay. That's okay.
I ended up being the best, and I needed somewhere to improve on. And, with everything, with every job, there's, cap. You're only capped to, a certain amount of hours, certain amount of commission, at least in some, some places. But I ended up wanting to go somewhere else. And
more.
I've had family in the industry for so long, and they've told me what they did, and I liked it. It sounded, really appealing. They've told me countless stories of, the good, the bad, and the ugly in real estate. It's not, it's not always, sunshines and rainbows. It's, you go through some shit, to be honest. And I was okay with it. It's something that I liked from the beginning since I got in. And I'm really doing it for my family and for my legacy to put us ahead. Whether it be, 5 years, 10 years, as long as I'm ahead, I think I'm cool.
That's right.
Nice.
That's right. Keep pushing forward.
Yeah, that's really good, bro. Francisco? Now, do you go by Francisco or do you go by Javier?
Well, some people
Professionally.
call me Francisco. Well, some clients call me Francisco, some clients call me Javier. So it's whatever works best for them. But yeah, so my name is Francisco, Primetime. And I joined real estate because mainly to help my personal family grow. I started on the weekends going to work with my uncle in his flips, from there managing them, and then he got me to get my license, got into the loans, and from there I went out on my own and started doing the real estate full time. So that's a little bit about me.
Nice.
All right, Chris.
My name is Chris Caballero. I've been with Century 21 Primetime for about 3 years. I'm sorry, 3 years. I got into it really because growing up, my pastor was a broker. Felix knows he was one of my old brokers, and just everybody there was just in real estate. And I think just seeing that atmosphere of everybody doing real estate, I just knew I always wanted to be in real estate. And what was the rest of the question? My question? What got me into it was, I was in the car sales industry before. I was a finance manager. I was making decent money, but it was your work-life schedule that I didn't like. I was working like probably 50, 60 hours a week every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I was like, dude, this is not where I want to be. So then I got my real estate license. I just started doing real estate, and I said, you know what, let me just go full time. And yeah, it's been about 4 years. It's going on 4 years. I just did my renewal of the license this year, and man, I love it. Wouldn't change it for anything.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta ask all of you. Did you guys end up working, a part-time job or a full-time job, right as you got into the real estate game, or have you always been fully committed since the very beginning?
It actually took me about 3 years to make the decision to leave my students and do real estate. During that time, I did study. It wasn't just like a thought. I was studying, learning, asking around.
Real estate.
Yes.
Okay.
While I was doing education full time, managing different schools and everything, I made the time to study, but it took me a good 3 years to finally decide. And that was in 2019.
But I don't think it was you're deciding because like a financial reason. I think it was because you were so committed and in love with what you did.
It was really tough to leave my students that I still go back and visit them to this day.
Which is, I wanted to bring that up because when we went to your school, just go pick up some documents for a client that you're helping. I was like, man, it was crazy. You haven't been there for what, 2 years, 3 years?
I haven't been on that campus. Yeah, I left 3 years ago.
3.
And I kid you not, bro, like 10 kids came up.
What?
Mrs. A, Mrs. A. Teachers came up to her, the staff came up to her, and they were like, Mrs. A. And she was not scared to say, oh, I'm in real estate. You know, you guys should do real estate. But just people are attracted to you, which is really cool. You know?
Thank you.
Yeah, you got great energy.
You got that charisma, that positivity that just uplifts everyone.
You guys. Thank you.
Don't start crying now.
Thank you.
And then, George, you barely got into this real estate game, what, this year, right?
It marks 1 year, like 2 days ago. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think you went full-time.
Jazz hands. I went full time, 6 months into it? Yeah, 6 months into it. That's when I really started to go full time. I did still have like a little part time, but that was more like once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I dedicated my whole time to just real estate and real estate only, and how I can better myself, because that's really what it is about.
And I know one of your deals that you're just dealing with, where you had a client, you were selling their house, and you're selling their house and they were buying another house, right?
Yeah.
And that one was a fun one, huh?
Exciting.
It was a roller coaster, to say the least. That was definitely a roller coaster. And I mean,
what was like one of your takeaways from that?
Takeaways, if I would have gone back and did it differently, I would have gone and done more so the listing side, 50-50 with someone. That way I can learn from that person and do everything right, because that was technically my first listing, and it wasn't easy. I didn't really know how to handle, all the amount of offers that we got into the property. That's right when the market started to, kind of boom a little bit. And I was expecting, 3 offers, and next thing
you got what, 15, 16?
I ended up getting close to 19. I think I got 19 offers on that property, and which is crazy because that was my first property I ever listed. I didn't even know what to do. So yeah, if I would have gone back, I would have hired, you or someone else to go with me.
You handled it a great way. You ask questions.
Exactly, yeah.
And not many people are able to do that.
Right. I mean,
but I think you're very confident in what you do. I've always told you, like, for being a young man, you carry yourself very well, and you have confidence in yourself, and that says a lot.
Right. And I mean, I think in this game, in real estate in general, I think the one thing everyone should have is integrity. That's one of the biggest things that I've noticed is you got to be, not only authentic, charismatic, but you got to have a lot of integrity in this game. A lot. Because that's what makes you stand out. Because you're right.
I think that's kind of something that I wanted to pivot off of, because when you were asking me questions or Francisco questions, our response is like, hey, you got to tell your client this or this. Yeah. And it was not an easy conversation to have.
It's not an easy.
But you're saying, I could tell you had integrity, because you're like, hey, it's just not what they want to hear, but it's what they need to hear.
Exactly.
And I always say that. It's like, you have to tell your clients not what they want to hear, what they need to hear. Don't be a nice don't be a nice agent. Mm-hmm. What do I always say? I don't know. Cut this out. I forget.
Be the better agent.
Be the better agent. Yeah. You just got to be the better agent. And let them know what they need to hear.
Yeah. Versus don't be a nice agent. Be a good agent.
Yeah.
There we go.
Everybody can
do the
be
good
nice.
thing. Do the right thing. Yeah.
Do the right thing.
Yeah. And then Francisco, I think
you have.
You're like a buyer's specialist.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
You're the Yoda.
Well, no, not
You're
really,
the Yoda. You're Obi-Wan.
No, he is.
He does a lot of listings. Because you barely came to Century 21 this year or last year?
In November.
No, we literally had to hide his phone from him right now, because if you're trying to call him, this is why.
I'm trying to answer, but they don't let me.
But I think you coming into this, you just like went,
Oh yeah.
Gas.
I had clients, I had leads, I had everything. I just didn't have the support and the team, and like you guys, a great family to help you push yourself and take me to the next level, like this office has.
Yeah. And it's funny because like we joke around like that, but there is like offices that you just feel really uncomfortable. You just don't feel like a vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I was getting 100% at where I was at, but I walk in and I just felt like people are staring at you, looking over you when you're working on stuff, and like.
Or they start to feel a certain type of way because you're making it and you're doing things and you're busy.
Closing deals, and they're like, "Oh,
And they're
how are
not,
you getting a deal?" And they look at me, my age, and then I guess their age, like, "Oh, how is it that you got this and that, and how do you
like
do it?"
jealousy in a way.
Yeah, it seemed like they weren't asking for help. They were asking because they were like jealous.
That's fair. I mean,
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask how, because that's one thing I want to know from you guys. How did your first deal go? Your first one.
My first one was, I'll go first, I guess. Was actually an expired listing. I was just cold calling, and he actually became a really good client of mine. He's an investor. He had a house in Riverside that he just couldn't get sold. I think he had listed with like 3 different agents. Really, really cool guy. And I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm new, but I'm dedicated. I know what I can do to get this property sold. And I kind of just sold myself more than selling the house itself. I'm like, I saw the comps. I saw everything. It was there, you know? So I really think I sold myself. And yeah, he trusted me. Somehow he just trusted me. You know, investor with a lot of money. And he trusted me. I said, this is how it came down. He had a house. He wanted $370 for it. It was in Riverside like 3 years ago. It was a little bit high for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath in the area at the time. And I said, look, let's just do this. Let's just drop it down to 330. Let's get all the attention that we want. And then within 2 or 3 days, yeah, we sold it for $375.
Damn.
Yeah. And I think with him alone, I probably had about 5 deals.
Awesome. 5.
Yeah. And it's
That's
great
a good
because he
one.
trusts me
You
to
built
the
that
point.
relationship.
Yeah, I built a
Yeah.
relationship. And real estate itself is all about relationships, you know?
Yeah.
I think we can all attest that. I'm pretty sure we all are what do you call it? Your A+ clients that they just repeat business, you know?
And they referral clients because they
It's
know you're
referral.
going to take care of them like you took care of them.
Yeah.
My first deal, I had just got my license, and my friends got word that I got my license because they don't have social media, but my comadre told them, and they were actually already working with another agent, and it wasn't going so good. I guess the other agent was trying to show them properties above their means, and they were being smart about their purchase. They wanted to stay within their means, and they reached out to me and brought them over to Primetime Lending, got them approved, and got them into his dream home in his dream city. Yeah. And my first deal, I actually did it with Albert. I've known Albert Caldera for 20 years. And he guided me, walked me through it. Yeah.
20 years. I did not know that.
Yeah. He worked with Eric, with my husband.
Oh, right.
Verizon.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I've known Albert forever. And, he literally held my hand and walked me through it. And we got them. And it was when the market was hot. Rates were low.
Mm-hmm.
And
3 years ago? Or what?
No, this was
Last year, no?
Last year?
Oh,
Yeah. No, Alex has been in
rates were
only
low.
I've been doing it for a year and a half.
a year and a half.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? So
She's
6 months
kicking
longer
ass
than I
this
have?
much, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, been doing it
You're
for a
on
year and a half.
fire.
She's kicking ass this much with a year and a half of experience, dude. That's crazy.
And and yeah, he walked me through it and closed it. And I remember Joseph, the market was hot, and Joseph was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to get my house. He wanted to buy in Redlands. He wanted to live in Redlands, and he's like, I'm gonna have to settle. And I said, no, give me 3 months. Don't give up. Give me 3 months. And we got him into his house, literally 2 minutes from his grandma's house.
No way.
Yeah, which is what he wanted. What he
So
wanted.
close.
Everything.
Everything.
Awesome.
So
But I think that goes without saying that confidence is a big factor.
In real estate?
Because your clients have to have the confidence in not only their purchasing power, their ability to buy and sell, but
Right.
in you.
You're handling their
They have to be able to trust
future.
you and be confident in you that you're gonna get the job done.
And I'm gonna touch back on what George said about integrity. So I'm much older than you guys. I'm
Really?
41. I'm much older than you guys, and a lot of my clientele now is people
Damn.
whom I've known. Oh, yeah, like Kevin Hart. You youngsters in your 20s, and it's all about integrity. And when you're gonna do something and you're gonna take on a job or even just lend a helping hand, have integrity. Do it 110% because that says a lot about you.
But I think integrity in everything that you do.
Everything that you do. So a lot
Like,
of my
if you have an
clientele is people whom I used to work with in education. I was in education straight out of high school. A lot of my clientele is people who ordered cakes for me. So when I came to these schools and cleaned them up, they're like, damn, like she really means business. Like I want to be the best for myself. I set high standards for myself.
As you should.
And when I left education and then I was studying to do real estate and COVID hit, I said, you know what? I'm going to do cakes because I wanted the kids to still be able to celebrate their birthdays. Even if it was on a Tuesday because everything was shut down.
Yeah.
So I started baking cakes and people started ordering cakes from me. So the kids could still celebrate their birthdays during COVID. And they would come and pick up their cakes and they're like, damn, you made this cake? And I'm like, yeah. So I've really tried to just put my whole heart into everything that I do. If I'm going to watch your kid, if I'm going to cook you a meal, whatever I'm going to do. So it says a lot. It says a lot.
Literally.
It says a lot. And a lot of my clientele is like, oh, you're doing real estate? And they know I've never done it. It's not my background, but shit, if she's doing something, she's doing it 110%.
Awesome. Now I know I can leave my kids with you.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. They're not going to want to go home. They're not going to want to go home.
Favoritism.
Won't leave them there for a few days. No,
What about you, Francisco? How'd your first one go?
Well, my first one, I was hosting my first open house at my first listing, and that day I got so many people. I got a lot of clients off that first open house, but the first one I closed, they came in, I talked to them, everything. I guess they liked me or my energy. I don't know what it was, but I came into the open house and then needed an agent. I had people that were coming in, and I became their agent because the agent that they had didn't work on weekends. So you know how that goes. But I closed both of those about the same time. But the one I did close, I didn't call them or anything, and they called me, and I got a call, and I was like, "Hello." And we're like, "Oh, you said you were gonna call me to come, like, so we could set up an appointment to come check out my house that we're trying to sell and buy." And I was like, "Oh, like." Honestly, I made up a bullshit. He was like, "Oh, you know, I was gonna call you tomorrow, but I was just."
But that was just a rookie mistake.
Yeah, it was a rookie mistake.
I
was just overwhelmed and didn't make the call because I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to do cold calling or calling the clients.
You learned the hard way, huh?
I learned the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then,
think that's why you commended George on being able to be open and ask questions. Especially coming from a dude, coming from a man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got to humble ourselves and ask questions. That's why.
No, but it goes back to why I joined this office. Because I had people wanting me to go to their office and everything, and they would take me and I'll see, and I never joined. I had gone to 4 offices that they invited me, and I just didn't feel the energy. So I didn't make the change. But when I went, I was like, damn, I just love the energy. So I made the change. The office that I was at, I was asking questions, but they were kind of like, figure it out yourself. I was, how do you door knock? Go tell them you're a realtor. I was like,
no, it's super generic.
And I did. I went.
How'd it go though?
I was like, first slamming doors, cussing out. Well, I was knocking in Compton. And, I love that city.
Yeah.
Now I know what to say and everything, and they still slam doors and everything, but I leave with a smile instead of with the head down.
That's how you should do it.
Trial and error,
So they called me. We set up an appointment, went over to the house, listed same day. We got a buyer for their home. It fell out of escrow. And then we got another buyer, and then we found them their property. It took a bit, but we got it done. And they still contact me to help them purchase other properties.
To this day.
And
that was your first.
Other clients. Yeah.
Yeah?
That was the first.
But you were able to, ask all these questions and still get responses? Or would they still tell you, figure it out yourself?
Yeah, well, I would call other people, and other people would help me.
People that you know of. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want to piggyback as far as what you said. You said, at least in real estate, you have to sell yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think what is different from real estate than from the car industry? like dealership? Do you sell yourself at the dealer, or do you sell more of the vehicle, or how do you pitch it to them more so that they buy it over there?
It's really funny because it's different kind of sales, I would say. I mean, obviously the end goal is to sell something,
Right.
but when it comes to cars, I don't know, I feel people just want to feel confident with the car that they're buying. And luckily, I have my dealership with my brother, and we sell really good cars. So it kind of works itself out. But I think with real estate, you really have to be able to sell yourself. Like I said, it's really important. Yeah, the house is nice. You do the inspections and all that. I get a great $20,000 credit for repairs.
Hey,
but
it was best for the client.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
That's right. You really do.
Yeah, I don't know. They're different kind of sales. For me, I'd always just, hey, this is what I have. This is what I offer. On both sides of it, and you can work with me. If something goes wrong with it, you can let me know. And even with the dealership, we get a lot of referrals too now.
Let me ask you, how did your first transaction go?
Yeah.
My first one, how did that go? Oh, my first one. Okay, so after just trying to get my first client, like I would do pretty much everything. I'd cold call this. I'd ask my sphere of influence. I did it all, and nothing was sticking. And I literally thought to myself, I'm like, I'm doing so much, but yet I'm not getting anything. And at this point, I was 6 months already into real estate. Like, pretty much, I would commit myself 90% of the time to real estate, and nothing was sticking. I literally asked God like 2-3 nights before. I was like, is this what I really want to do? Like, usually if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, right? And at that point, I wasn't getting anything, and I wasn't seeing any results. And then out of the blue, I get an Op City lead, and it was a good one. It was usually they start you off with mobile homes, which there's nothing wrong with mobile homes, but they start you off with mobile homes, and then you work your way up to a house after you've closed, one or two with Op City. And then now, I just got a notification on my phone. I think it was like 8 p.m. And so it was late. No one really answers or picks, selects an Op City super late. And it was my first one. I picked it up. I got it right away. And we started talking. She's like, yeah, we're interested in this property. And from there, I just found on the property within, I'd say, a week to 2 weeks later. And then I got him in escrow. And at that point, I was super happy about myself because it confirmed something within me that I am able to do it. And I don't know. I thank God for that during that time, especially because it felt like there was little hope and towards the beginning to an end. And thankfully it worked out. Thankfully.
I feel like when we're on that verge and it's like, am I doing the right thing? Am I this? Am I that? We shouldn't question, right? I feel like with me, God's like, how bad do you want it? Are you going to give up already? Oh, you're going to give up already, huh? I feel like that's what God's saying to me. Make you deserve it. Because anybody can do real estate, but not everybody should.
That's true. That's true.
So I feel as though like when things aren't going right, or, you have those bumps in the road, or you feel like it's just rain after rain after rain, God's like, how bad do you want it? You're going to tough this out? You're going to stick it out? You're going to prove to me that you really deserve what I'm about to give you?
Damn, I never seen it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna.
Well, yeah, like the trail is hard, the hike is hard, the climb is hard, but the view is rewarding always, right?
Because I know you're being tested a lot right now, Francisco. Yes, you're being tested with your projects and with things that you're doing, and your patience and making time for family and your babies, and I commend you because you're gonna see it through. You're gonna see it through because that's just who you are. You finish what you start. So the fact that you're still smiling, you show up, you're out there for your clients, you make time for your kids, you're doing it. You're doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have one last question. I think my question for everyone is, what is one hard lesson that you guys learned in real estate so far?
I don't think I can say it on camera.
I think to all the realtors out there, get your client qualified first before you start showing them.
I can agree with
Yeah.
that.
Because when I started, I was chasing a deal. I was the client wanted to see houses before getting qualified. We would go see property. At the end of the day, they didn't qualify, and unfortunately, that also hits you hard because
Your
you're
time,
like,
your gas.
you don't close the deal. You all that time, and then you start second guessing. Like, am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right business?
Mm-hmm.
You said a lesson?
Yeah, like a hard lesson.
A hard lesson that
Yeah.
that the real estate has showed us.
Yeah.
That's a crazy one.
I think this goes whenever you want to separate business from friendships. You got to learn to do that. And
True.
I like I said, I work with a lot of friends and family. Like that's what I do, and I got to be able to give it to them, you know, raw and uncut. But at the end of the day, like I got to make sure that their needs are being understood and met and heard. But this is real estate, and I don't want it to affect like when I'm at a family gathering or when we're out to lunch, you know, like I don't want everybody to feel like those two things are going to be crossed.
Are you talking about like you don't want to be like, oh, here's Alex, she's going to talk about real estate?
Yeah, because that's not the case.
Yeah.
You know, if they want to bring it up, fine, but
You're not the one gonna bring it up.
I'm not, because I want everybody to know that if you're looking into buying a home, you got to want it. You got to want it. I'm not here to convince you. You have to want it for yourself. It's a big goal and it's a big purchase. You got to be committed, and you got to be willing to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, even if you are family or friend, because I love you. But you know, the reality is that there is some messed up parts to it, and maybe your offers aren't getting accepted, or the rate goes up, or you know, we got to switch loan officers, or you know, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think it's
Are you talking about me? Yeah,
but that's a big lesson.
Hey, you know what I just noticed? You guys have done deals together. Me and Francisco have done, or George have done deals together.
Me and you have done.
We've done deals together.
We haven't.
We gotta do it.
And then we gotta do one too.
Yeah.
But see, that's what I love. Like most offices, a lot of offices that I know, they don't actually collaborate. They don't work
Yeah.
together. Me and George, we just did a deal where it was off market, and he had qualified buyers. They were just getting outbid, and I have a house that was a perfect match for them, and it was
Literally
a win-win.
perfect.
Yeah. And then you guys, yeah.
I know my clients were so happy that they were able to help Francisco's clients, because I know he was mentioning that they were getting outbidden. They were like kind of like losing hope,
yeah.
and you know the type of loan it was not the loan everybody wants to jump on and pick. But my sellers, once we were all said and done, I let them know that, you know what, you helped out a family that was not getting their offer accepted for quite some time, and they were like so happy that they were able to help them out. They really were.
Yeah, and the client, my buyers were super happy that she was able to help us get that offer accepted and everything.
Yeah, and get into escrow and
close it.
yeah.
And close. That's the most
Nice,
important.
yeah.
You gotta close
and
it.
close it. Yeah, and that's I know we're wrapping up, but I think the reality is, like, my thing is like when you're fall out of escrow. Damn.
Damn is right.
When you're working with sellers
Mm-hmm.
and you fall out of escrow, that's not something I've encountered yet, but
You haven't?
I haven't. I've sold them before they.
Thankfully. Good for
They
you
get
guys.
discouraged.
No, but I think
Yeah.
when that happens, it's like it's an ego trip.
Yeah.
It kind of
Yeah.
was like
Yeah.
a self-esteem. You're like, but then you got to realize, dude, this is the business.
Yeah.
We have to just keep going. You have to. That's where that confidence comes in, because you're not only you are discouraged, your seller's
Yeah.
discouraged. Your seller is already packing up, ready to go.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
About to close
And
it.
I've had that conversation.
And
Yeah.
I think that's where I really love the way Chris works, because I'm big on education. As you guys know, I'm big on educating when you're working with sellers, when you're working with buyers, and even just when you're working with your loan officers. You got to make sure we're all on the same page and we're all educated. That he does that. Like Chris
That is
literally walks
True.
his clients through every step of the way and educates them. And I think because of my background, I admire that. So like falling out of escrow, and it's happened, but you keep them like it's okay. You know, we said this would happen. They said this is a possibility. Like, we just got to keep pushing forward. And I admire that.
Yeah.
The confidence, and then also telling them what things that they need to hear as well.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's the thing. I always tell my clients when I go on a listing appointment, I bring an RPA with me.
Yeah.
I say, look, guys, this is what you're gonna expect when we get offers in. All the offers are gonna look. If they're not on this form, we're not gonna look at it. Because that's, you know, you need the RPA form.
Yeah.
that's smart, actually.
No, I do. And I say, look, these are the stipulations. These are some obstacles. These are the contingencies that we're going to be looking at. These are kind of offers, VA, FHA, conventional, any other, you know, seller finance, whatever, CalHefa.
You got to look at
I
ratios.
set them up for everything.
Oh, man.
And
It's a science.
yeah, no, it is. Because there's a lot to go in it. And not to bag on any realtors, but there's realtors that just say, hey, let me get this listing. And all right, seller.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Let me accept the highest offer. And that's not
Yeah.
the best interest sometimes.
And I know that there's agents, again, not saying anything, but that there's agents that are like, okay, I'm going to send all the offers over to my seller and they're going to review them. And I'm like, what do you mean they're going to review them? Sending the offers over tonight at 6 p.m. to sellers to review.
Yeah, and imagine them trying to
Yeah.
Look at everything.
study for.
They're just going to look at the
Yes.
price, and that's it. That's all they're going to look at, price.
Like we study
Yeah.
for a long time, take very hard, extensive tests to be able to dissect this stuff. And there's agents out there that are just going to send them over to their sellers. All right, pick. And what's the seller going to do? Look at the highest offer and be like, I want this one.
And
Right.
Not
But they
looking
won't
at
see everything
anything
else.
else. So,
And then they fall out of escrow.
And then they ask
And then
why. They start blaming you.
Well, like one that I just had, I had a couple offers on this listing I just had, and this one was remove all contingencies. Great offer, you know, you would think, and okay, awesome, this is a great offer, and I almost didn't catch it. Remove all contingencies, put like 40% down. It was an investment property that they wanted to buy for Airbnb, and I was looking at the offer. My client was all excited, and I had to give her bad news. I said, look, they didn't initial this paragraph. And you know, by law, they don't have to. If they don't want to initial it, they don't have to agree to it.
Yeah.
So what it was, they put 3% EMD. And I said, I countered them back. I said, you know, this is a good offer. We're going to counter you back individually. The other ones are multiple counters. If you can just sign this, we'll open up escrow. And guess what?
They did not.
He effing ghosted me.
Oh.
Yeah. Because he knew he was going to play games.
yeah.
He came in 20 grand over asking.
Removing all contingencies.
Removed all contingencies, 3% EMD, and he ghosted me. And I had to tell my client, hey, you know what? He ghosted me. He ghosted us. I don't feel confident. And she says, Chris, I trust you.
Yeah.
I trust you 100%. If it's not a good offer, if you're not going to do it, let's go with the other offers.
I just had an agent tell me that he went with an offer. Same thing. They removed all contingencies, and we're the runners up, right? We're the backup offer. And I said, wow, it sounds like they overpromised. So I'll be hearing from you in about a week.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, let me just reiterate that one initial, so you guys can know. It's somewhere on the RPA. I think it's like page 6 or 7. It states specifically if for whatever reason, I forgot the wording on it, but for whatever reason they're entitled to their 3% EMD back, up to 3% of their EMD back. So he knew exactly what he was doing to play games, because I knew he was going to try to. When it comes to the request for repairs,
but if you don't initial that, removing the contingencies don't
Yeah.
stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they really got no skin in the game.
He had no skin in the game. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
actually
And I called his bluff.
crazy.
But
Yeah.
that's what happens when they
But
pick
then
offers that are overpromised.
That's the thing, though. He burned himself out with you. Next offer you get from
Yeah.
him, what are you gonna do?
And he's a local agent too.
Oh.
So I won't say any names, but yeah, I said, man, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, on that note.
Shoot the
Yeah.
info so I know.
I'll let you guys know. All right, guys. I think it was a pretty good podcast.
I think
right?
pretty good. Yeah.
We're a little nervous. It was a little hot in here, but
I never sweated like I did.
Francisco's shirt was white when he got here.
No,
so
but
much.
nonetheless, we hope those of you who took the time to view it were able to learn something, learn a little bit more about Francisco, Chris, George, and myself, and a little bit more about our office, Century 21 Primetime Realtors, with our in-house lending, Primetime Lending, and our
escrow.
in-house escrow, Success
Which
Escrow.
kick ass.
Yes.
Ass.
We close deals with success, baby.
That's right. No, in all honesty, I
Actually
gotta
true.
put this out there because I told Felix and I told our escrow girls that when I had my files open, I think it was 6 or 7 files open, right?
At the same time.
At the same time. At the same time.
Chingona.
Okay, stop. 2 of them were success, and the other 4 were other escrows, and success was the best, hands down. These other escrows did not compare.
You did not pick those other escrows, correct?
No, the other escrows were being represented by those sellers. Like,
you were representing
buyers,
the buyer.
I was
on that
representing
one, yeah.
buyers. So the only time we can pick our escrow, or the sellers pick our escrows, when we're representing a listing, when we're selling a house. But when we are representing buyers, we go with the escrow that the sellers had chosen. So that's why we didn't have a choice.
That's another great thing that we provide for our clients.
Yeah.
The whole team and
in-house escrow, in-house lending.
everything.
Like, literally this last month I closed one of those 7 in 8 days, and one of them in 9 days.
And who was your lender?
Adrian Lopez from Primetime Lending.
That's right.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I had another that one was all in-house. It was over the 4th of July weekend, over the holiday, and it still closed in 8 days. And
Adrian even had the appraiser go out there on 4th of July.
yeah,
Oh,
the appraiser
that's
went out
right.
on 4th of July. I met him with the coffee and gift card in hand. Thank you. Because, again, it goes to say that it matters who you work with. It matters who your lenders are. You got to be able to just have open communication. And I think that's what works great, why we've been able to, work together, because we know how to separate business and pleasure. Like,
As you should, yeah.
because we're always looking out, trying to be the better agent, looking out for our clients. So, yeah.
All right, guys. I think because it's getting kind of late, let's pick this up
Wrap
next
it
week.
up. I'm
Let's
down.
wrap it up next week. All right, guys.
Hey, that was
Same time, same bat channel.
We're here in the Mamba
Hey.
the Mamba Lounge.
Cut that out, homie. Cut that out.
bro.
Hey, and then cut out the part where she